Did you know that while everyone was obsessing over Silicon Valley tech founders, a genuinely massive $1 billion fraud collapsed right under our noses? And honestly, almost no one is talking about it. Welcome to Zach Wealth Files. I'm Zach, and my goal is to make wealth building and personal finance simple, accurate, and actually useful. In today's explainer, we're breaking down this hidden subprime auto loan collapse. And more importantly, I'm giving you a step-by-step framework to protect your own money from traps just like this. Let's dive in.
You see, everyone focuses on the famous tech collapses. Think FTX or Theranos. Those are dramatic, sure, but they're pretty much resolved. What we're looking at today is an active billion-dollar situation that just took down a massive subprime auto lender. Not a complex crypto exchange, but something millions of everyday consumers rely on, a strip mall car lot. It perfectly shows why the biggest risks to your wealth aren't always exotic investments. Sometimes they're the everyday transactions we completely take for granted.
So let's rewind to September of 2025. A major Dallas-based auto lender named Tricolor Holdings abruptly filed for Chapter 7 bankruptcy liquidation. Now, this wasn't a reorganization where a company tries to fix its balance sheet. Chapter 7 is a total death sentence. The doors are locked and a trustee sells off the scraps. And Tricolor was huge. They operated over 60 dealership locations across 6 states, specifically targeting buyers with damaged credit who just needed a reliable car to get to work.
But the scale of the fallout? Absolutely staggering. A few months later, in December, the U.S. Department of Justice unsealed an indictment alleging the company's executives systematically orchestrated a nearly $1 billion fraud scheme. $1 billion. The government alleges this wasn't just a business making bad bets. They claim fraud was actually a core part of the company's operating strategy. To really understand how $1 billion vanishes, we need to look at the legitimate business model of a deep subprime auto lender, specifically something called asset-backed lending. This is a process where a company pledges its incoming loan payments to an institutional bank as collateral, and in exchange, they get a large line of credit. Dealerships targeting high-risk buyers use this because they rarely hold the risk on their own balance sheets. Because defaults are a given, they need a constant influx of cash from big banks just to survive. In a totally legitimate system, it works in 3 distinct steps. First, the dealership originates the auto loans. Second, those loans are bundled together into a massive portfolio. Third, that portfolio is pledged to an institutional bank for credit. The bank demands accurate data tapes, basically spreadsheets of credit scores and payment histories. And crucially, the bank holds the exclusive first lien titles to those vehicles as collateral. It works perfectly, assuming the data is real and the collateral belongs to only one bank.
But according to federal prosecutors, Tricolor's leadership broke those foundational rules through a practice called double pledging. What is double pledging? It's illegally using the exact same asset as collateral for multiple different loans from multiple different lenders simultaneously. Imagine taking out a mortgage on your house at Bank A and then walking across the street to Bank B and getting a second mortgage on that exact same house, pretending Bank A doesn't exist. You're borrowing money twice against a single asset. The indictment alleges Tricolor did this at an industrial scale.
So how do you hide a massive hole like that from strict bank auditors? Well, the government claims they altered data tapes to make deep subprime, near-worthless loans appear as pristine, prime-eligible assets. They were allegedly manipulating data spreadsheets to make defaulting loans look like they met the bank's strict criteria. It's literally like handing a bank a portfolio of condemned buildings and pretending it's prime real estate. This brings us to the individuals accused of pulling this off, and the severe legal weapons the DOJ is deploying. They revived a rare statute against founder and CEO Daniel Chu called the Continuing Financial Crimes Enterprise. This is often called the Financial Kingpin statute. Originally meant for drug cartels, it's used for organized financial frauds resulting in over $5 million misappropriated. By using this, the DOJ is signaling they view Tricolor not as a failing business, but as an organized criminal enterprise whose actual product was fraud. And looking at the executive team's legal status is pretty revealing. CEO Daniel Chu has pleaded not guilty and awaits trial, but the rest of the C-suite, they folded. The former CFO and finance director pleaded guilty and are actively cooperating, reportedly providing internal evidence. The COO pleaded guilty as well. When almost the entire executive suite flips, it really highlights the alleged scale of the problem.
Okay, let's bring this back to you. Where does that leave the consumer when the dealership goes dark? If you're faithfully making your car payment every month and your dealership goes bankrupt, you might think, hey, I'm off the hook. But unfortunately, the reality is much more complicated.
Because here is the truth.
Your legal obligation to pay off the debt does not disappear just because the lender went bankrupt. The bankruptcy trustee will still demand your payments. But here's the nightmare scenario. Because of the alleged double pledging, multiple banks might claim they own your car's title. You could be completely trapped in a bureaucratic legal nightmare, unable to legally sell or trade your vehicle.
Massive collapses like this rarely happen by accident. They share a specific DNA. You can spot companies destined to collapse by looking for these 4 warning signs of systemic corporate fraud, which were reportedly all present here. 1. Concentrated control in a single visionary founder, where internal checks evaporate. 2. Financial opacity, hiding behind spreadsheets. 3. Required growth drastically outpacing real fundamentals. And 4. Internal dissent and compliance are actively crushed to keep the money flowing. Keep an eye out for these in any company you invest in or do business with.
Let's turn these lessons into a concrete action plan for the next time you buy a vehicle. First, avoid sole buy here, pay here dealer financing, where incentives are completely misaligned. Second, always secure an independent quote from a credit union before you even step on the lot, which gives you leverage. Third, demand the physical title release timeline in writing. Fourth, monitor the CFPB database for company complaints. Missing titles are a huge red flag. And fifth, keep all original contracts and payment ledgers. If the lender collapses, your paperwork is your only defense.
Now, a quick, honest, and essential caveat. Ongoing legal proceedings mean all defendants, including Daniel Chu, are presumed innocent until proven guilty in a court of law. And as always, this content is for general financial education only, not personalized legal or financial advice.
Ultimately, I want you to walk away with this crucial understanding. The most dangerous risks to your wealth aren't always found in complex tech-line investments. Fraud doesn't just happen in Silicon Valley boardrooms. Sometimes it happens right in a strip mall car lot, hiding inside the data tape of a bundled auto loan.
So, had you heard of the Tricolor collapse? And is your car title truly secure? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single one. Make sure to subscribe to Zach Wealth Files for more clear, factual wealth building frameworks, and I'll see you in the next explainer.